Welcome to Diet Rebellion, the podcast that's here to help you break free from the chains of dieting and finally take control of your health, strength, and confidence. I'm Joe Hoye, your host and the founder of Diet Detox. After transforming the lives of thousands of women over 40 who have been trapped in the endless diet cycle, I'm here to show you a new way. One that focuses on eating for your body's needs, restoring your metabolism, and rebuilding your strength for life. Get ready for real, no bullshit conversations, expert insights, and actionable strategies that empower you to live diet-free and thrive. It's time to stop restricting and start rebuilding. Join the rebellion. Your journey starts now. Everybody, welcome back to another amazing episode of Menopause from a Man. Today, I talked with a really special guest from across the pond. Her name is Sally Beaton, and you're going to realize very quickly why she is special. Okay, so Sally is the founder of Women with Sparkle, which in the beginning, I thought was just a cute name. But I quickly found out it is much more than a cute name. It is something with a ton of meaning and something that I can actually resonate with a lot. Sally is also the founder and main host of the Nourish and Empower Retreats, something that I think every single listener here should probably consider going to. But I don't want to dive too deep. I want to let you listen for yourself and be the judge of if you have sparkle in your life right now or not. And if you don't, how can you start getting it back? Because I promise you at one point you did have it. Everybody buckle up. This is going to be an amazing show. Enjoy. Everybody, welcome back to what you know is going to be another incredible episode of Menopause from a Man. Today, like I just told our amazing guest, we are doing the European tour. And to complete it, we have Miss Sally Beaton from the UK. So Sally, welcome on, and how are you?
Hi there, I'm really good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell the audience about yourself. Who is Sally and what is it that you do?
Okay, so I women's holistic nutritionist and coach. And so the reason I do holistic nutrition and why that's different to just straight nutrition is we look at everything in a woman's life. So diet is only one area of the things affecting a woman's mind, body, and spirit. So we will obviously look at a woman's diet, but we'll look at everything else that's going on in her life, her relationships, her work, her environment, all those things to see what could be not allowing her to live her best life and feel her best. So that's basically what I do. I run a coaching practice day to day called Women with Sparkle. My aim is to women when they feel like they've lost their sparkle, be it through grief or divorce or change in circumstances or illness, any of those things. I believe there's always a path back to your sparkle. I believe that's like our true identity as women. And that's what I help support women in.
That's amazing. I love that. So what is sparkle? How do you define sparkle?
Sparkle to me is the true essence of who you are. So it will be different for each individual person. So it's when a woman has the light in her eyes, right? And so for one woman, that might be because she's living in a job she loves. For another woman, it might be because she's in a relationship she loves. But whatever is that thing that brings the light to your eyes. There's lots of sayings about the light is the eyes of the window of the soul. And for me, I can tell the difference in someone who's got that light in their eyes and when that light's gone. And we'll all know those times in our life where we've looked in the mirror and we can't see that spark in our eyes, you know? So for me, it's that passion, it's that purpose, it's that belief that my life is good, I'm meant to be here, and here are some of the good things that I want to do.
I love that. So it's just living the fullest version of you and your own life. And that is definitely going to change from person to person. But one thing I can say, and I think anybody watching the video version of this podcast can say, is that when you first jumped on this, Sally, now that you've defined sparkle, I can see that you have that. And I think it's even so true for you that when I go on your Instagram, I can see it.
That's really why I love that. And thank you for saying that, because it's really important to me, is because I had, as a little girl, I had my sparkle. I would say, I would go into a room and I'd say, who wants to watch my dance or hear my song? And whether people did or not, that might have ruined their sparkle. But for me, that's what I love. And then I went through my 20s and I was kind of like working really hard and I was working in the music industry, but my sparkle started struggling. I started getting health issues, hormone issues. And from my late 20s, early 30s, I lost my sparkle. I was having to fake my sparkle. And so for me, I thought, this is it. You know, illness has taken over. The person who I believe I am has gone. And I then tested whether there was a journey to getting my sparkle back in terms of my health and purpose. And so when I was able to get that back, I felt so passionate about helping other women women who maybe think, well, it's over for me because I've got divorced, or it's over for me because I've had this diagnosis of something terrible that people are saying is forever now. And my aim is to, either by working with me or sending them to other amazing professionals, is to say, don't try and do this on your own, but I promise that essence of you, that light, that person who has great days is still there. We can find our way back to her.
I love that. And so how did you do that? How did you find your way back to Miss Sparkling Sally Beaton?
So I would say the first thing I did is look at my diet. So from being ill, so in my 20s, I was given a variety of different diagnoses. So I had loads of hormone issues. So I was diagnosed with PCOS, and I had IBS, and I had really severe adult acne. And then towards the end of my 20s and the start of my 30s, I was diagnosed with a breast tumor. And at that point, I was very fearful of my body. Well, I was quite angry with it as well. So I thought, right, I've just been dealt a bad set of cards, right? And I just have a rubbish body, and I have all these health issues, and they're stopping me live a life I want to live and be the person I want to be. And so what I did is, after I went to a variety of different doctors, and they tried to give me a different pill for every ill, and then I was like, after my breast tumor, I said, like, what now? Like, why did I get this? I wanted to know the root cause of why I had all these issues. And there was kind of a mixture of like, well, you're a woman and we don't know, and it's bad luck. And I thought, that's not good enough. Like, you can't, I felt like my life had been taken away, and for someone just to say kind of bad luck. So I went on an investigation. I thought, you know what? If I was one of my closest friends or family members, I wouldn't take these answers as okay. I would say, no, I want better answers than that. So I started looking into the possible roots of my problems. And I first looked at diet, and I thought, to bring back that feeling, to bring back my power, because I felt very disempowered, that idea that I had some control over whether my health was going to get better or not. I didn't just have to wait for a scan every 3 months, or a doctor to say, good luck, you've got another 3 months, So I looked at food, and I looked at how food could help improve my health. I looked at how food could help reduce my inflammation. So that was like, for me, that was the foundational building block of really taking back some power and control of my health. And so I started to feel physically and mentally better because of that. Then I started looking at all the other things that could have been what were called toxins or inflammatory things in my life. So that would be my work environment, relationship, things like that. It was like there was no stone unturned, because I was desperate to get my sparkle back. So that was the journey. Like I said, it started with diet, and then I looked into relationships. I got out of unhealthy, toxic relationships. I looked at my relationship with overgiving. Like, women have a real thing with people pleasing. So I started to address that after decades of being the good girl and the people pleaser. And I started thinking, I am worth my time and energy going into me. I don't just have to look after everyone else the whole time. So combination of that, support from other people, ongoing learning, like a higher belief, all that just helped me get back to the person that I thought was gone forever.
I love that. That's amazing. And so now that you've done it for yourself, you can now recreate it for others. Yeah. And what I think is interesting is that and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but when I hear about registered dietitians online, nutritionists, health coaches, right? Oftentimes we're helping people lose weight. That's what we do. We help women 40, 50, 60 plus lose anywhere from 15 to 100 plus pounds, and do it in a way that they've never done, because they've done 5+ diets, none of them worked, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't sound like that's what you're after.
That can be part of it.
Right.
So like, really, I'm looking at the thing that's making the woman most unhappy first of all. So that might be weight. It might start with her weight, but then with the weight, we're not just looking at changing her food and saying, okay, we're going to change your diet. Obviously, a lot of women need that help and support, but then what we want to look at the other reasons for the weight as well. So with women, majority of the time, not always, but majority of the time, it is a physical and emotional thing. And instead of just palming it off to, oh, it's just your hormones, it's just your age, I believe that women's bodies are super wise, right? So if there's been weight gain, I believe that there's a wisdom in that. There's normally a protection. Women's bodies often put on the weight in times of huge stress, huge trauma, as a protection from the outside world. So I want to look at what they've been protecting themselves against. I want to look at how they truly feel about themselves. If that weight is there because they're actually wanting to hide themselves from the world, and who told them they had to hide. So definitely the diet and fitness is one part of that, and super, super needed. But again, this holistic idea is so important for women, because it's never normally just one thing.
Correct. Yeah, I love that. And you said it really well, because a lot of times that's a hard thing to convey to other people. actionable, right? Hey, I'm going to help you achieve this goal of 30 pounds of weight loss, but it's not the diets that you've been doing. It's what's going on up here in your head and the stories you tell yourself and the thoughts that you think and the lens that you look at life through. And we do a lot of the same. It's just hard to convey it. One thing I want to talk about though, and I'm really curious on your thought here, is you quickly mentioned that a lot of this comes back to a higher belief as well. Can you expand on that?
So for me, I like to kind of zoom out with women's lives. You know, women have like a real close-up view of what's wrong with them, why they're unworthy because they're old or they feel that their bodies betrayed them and they're fat and they feel like that. And I want to zoom out and show them the amazingness of them, one as a human being, two as a woman, three as a person dwelling on this earth who is meant to be here at this time and has a purpose, and to use that. Because when all that's in focus, then you've got a reason to lose weight, then you've got a reason to change job, then you've got a reason to go and book something fun to do, because you just don't feel like the kind of tired middle-aged woman slugging through life, you know? And so whatever that higher power is, for it can be different. Like for me, it's God. I feel everyone's uniquely and beautifully made, but it's not about subscribing to one sort of belief. It's just believing in that uniqueness, the miracle of you, because the idea, you all know this working with them, most midlife women do not feel like a miracle. No. And so that reminder, most of them are exhausted. Most of them are just told daily why they're not good enough in how they look and how they're behaving. And they've got this to-do list for their families, for their work, from society. And so that zooming back out and going, can we just talk about you as a person, as a woman, being amazing, and then all the stuff we can sort later, but can we just zoom out and start from there and then agree on that and then start to build on that?
I'd love to take everybody through this today. So what is step one? How do you do that?
Well, the interesting thing is I wouldn't say it's a kind of like everybody
cookie cutter.
Yeah, because everybody starts somewhere different. So that's the thing. I mean, normally it's like, I want to find out the beliefs that the woman has about herself. Does she feel she's worth not having ill health? Does she feel she's worth losing that weight? And then what the purpose is beyond that. Because if she's got a purpose, there's a reason for it, rather than just, well, I don't want to be fat because, you know, like it's so, or I'd like to change career. It's like, what is your purpose for being here on this earth? And then if that's too big, let's work towards that in 10 years, right? But let's start with you feeling better. So yeah, I would say there's probably not a cookie cutter thing. It's that initial conversation, finding out where the woman is and what has normally broken her, like spiritually, emotionally, or physically.
Yeah. And so I think that knowing her purpose might be too big of a question in the beginning, at least for a lot of the ladies we work with. What I know to be true is that the number that they rank themselves on for their priority list is a high number, right? They're not number one, they're not number two, not number three. They're generally 12, 13, or 14, right? They're doing everything for everyone else except for themselves. And I think that's always a massive place to start, is by saying, hey, if you are constantly pouring out your cup for other people, you are operating from an empty cup. And so therefore you can't pour to other people until you fill yourself up.
Yes.
And that is a big one for us. Do you find the same thing to be true?
Totally. And also, like, talking about the purpose thing, most women, they don't have the belief that they're worth feeling better, right? So like, they don't have a big enough drive that they are worth feeling better, that they're worth spending the time on themselves, the money on themselves. But what they do have a belief is that their family deserves a better version of them. So often women will find that purpose in going, I do want to have more energy for my kids. I do want to, you know, not feel like I have to hide myself away if we're going out somewhere nice or things like that. So often, I never want that to be the be all and end all, but often the starting point has to be, we don't want you to get seriously ill, like, or, you know, because, and if you can't have that as a driver enough for yourself, then for your loved ones, who women naturally normally put ahead of their own desires anyway, is sometimes a good place to start, whether it's weight loss or whether it's helping with anxiety or, you know, things like that.
Yeah. And gosh, anxiety is a word that comes up in almost every episode here, right? Because I think that, and this is me thinking, because everyone, you're listening to a 30-year-old man talk about menopause, but from my experiences,
I love it. Can I just say, I love that though. This, honestly, it brings me so much joy. The name of this podcast, the fact you saying this is a 30-year-old man talking about menopause, I just love it. I'm like, thank you. you.
You got it. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of that name, because there's people like you, Sally, that are like, oh, I love this. And then there's the ones that come at me with the pitchforks and the torches saying I have no right to be here. But I know
There'll
my
always be the
intentions.
pitchforks, right? There'll always be the pitchforks, no matter what.
Always gotta love them. But from my readings, from my observations, from working with these women for 6 years now,
Yeah.
anxiety, no longer feeling like yourself, the other mental health disorders that come with perimenopause, menopause, or post they're just massive, and they're so misunderstood. Number one, people don't relate them to menopause, and taboo, right? They're just not talked about.
Yeah. And they're also, the truth behind them is not often acknowledged. So the anxiety, the depression, the things like that, like, again, I start from the place that a woman's body is wise, right? So her symptoms are wise. Whatever her body is presenting mentally or physically, there's a wisdom to it, and her body is trying to get her attention. And so with the anxiety or depression, anything like that, I say there is a truth behind it. Whatever, even if the symptom is like the day-to-day symptom is uncomfortable, there's a truth behind it that your body is trying to get your attention for, that is not convenient for the day-to-day world, right? So it might be, again, you went through a traumatic incident, but you had to carry on very quickly, or you lost a loved one, but again, the world carried on and you had to get back to work within 2 weeks when your whole world has changed. And when you track back to the start of that anxiety or the start of the depression, there's always a reason that goes beyond, you're just kind of in your 40s now and that's what happens and it's your hormones. There's always a truth that wants to be expressed through a woman that sometimes she might not even know because she's so busy. But like I said, in the work I do, we always track back, and then it goes like a light bulb to a woman going, oh my goodness, yes, that actually, my anxiety started when this happened, and I never got the chance to get help for it or talk through it because life carried on, but her body was wanting her to take a moment to get support and help for that thing, is what I've found most of the time.
No, I couldn't agree more with that. Those feelings, whatever you want to call them, they're always notifications, right? It's your body trying to tell you something that nobody listens to, man or woman. And the other thing is, I think people rank their traumatic experience based on somebody else's, right? Just because somebody had it way worse doesn't mean that your problem isn't a real problem, and it doesn't mean that it's not effective. So that's a lot of the work that we'll do, not all the time, but to the people, this is probably unfair, but to the people where we really know that this would make a major impact in them, we dive into that. But again, talking through this, it's going to impact everyone.
That's stressful for them, and if there's stress issues not being dealt with, then that's going to affect your weight loss and your health. So it's like, again, this beautiful holistic idea of a woman that is the mind, the body, and spirit, and then working together for her greatest health. Like, yeah,
I love that. I think you should stop calling yourself a nutritionist today, because you do so much more than that.
Well, it's hard to, like I said, I call myself a women's holistic nutritionist and coach, but like I said, like word of mouth and a book, women kind of get the idea about what I do, but they don't come to me and I just say, eat more broccoli. Like, we go deep.
Yep, that is amazing. And I think we're all learning that really quickly. So speaking of going deep, I know that with one-on-one coaching, with even group coaching, you have the ability to do that, but there's nothing like doing that in person. And I know that you run your retreats, which are called, if I'm not mistaken, the Nourish and Empower retreats. Is that correct? Can you tell me more?
Sure. So I run these retreats with a health chef, and they kind of have different themes or titles. So we'll do one in the new year to help with kind of feeling better after winter. We'll do them for the perimenopause, menopause retreats, just so women have an idea of what it is even is they're going through. We've done we call it weight release rather than weight loss. So we put it on, and the main thing about that is we take women out of their normal life for a day, and we're in beautiful surroundings. They're surrounded by nature, and the whole aim of it is that they do not lift a finger. They are there to be served, to be looked after, to rest. And the evolution of the retreats is really interesting, because when we first started, it was like, we want to jam pack in so much, right? We're so passionate about women feeling they got value for money. And so, from when they got there to when they left, there was a session on this and a session on this. And very quickly we realized that's not what women need, right? They need time to digest. They needed time to rest. And so we quickly put in these like huge blocks of like an hour and a half, where in between the sessions, whether they were, learning a recipe that helped gut health, or whether it was a talk from me on hormones, we'd then say, you've now got an hour and a half to either nap. It was so important for me. There was like a nap room.
Nice.
You can nap, you can go for a walk in nature. Before they came, I asked them all to bring a book that they've been trying to read but haven't had time. You can go and sit and read your book, whatever it is, because it was so interesting to see that the women needed that as much as they needed the information that we wanted to give them that day. Because that lowering of their stress levels, again, it had to be embodied rather than just us saying, so you need to lower your stress levels so that you have hormonal balance. And so that it was like, no, they had to experience that and remember what it felt like to have someone look after them, to remember what it felt like to not have, they're not anywhere near laptop or the washing machine or the dishwasher, like just for them to go, you know, women would leave after a day and go, I feel like I've had a week's holiday. And my thing that I'm really passionate about is women think it's going to take them ages. And I'm really, really passionate about women feeling how quickly something can change, because it's really important that they don't think, oh my goodness, it's going to take me 2 years to feel better or see some progress or things like that. Like, it's not about like quick fixes or empty promises, but it is saying, I've seen it myself, that when I've said to a woman, actually, the biggest thing you need is to go and, if you have the money, check yourself into a hotel for 24 hours and you will feel like 80% of your problems have gone when you've had a good night's sleep and no demands, and that be proven to a woman. That's really, really important for me, that they have that time to go, okay, I'm not going mad. I'm not needing to leave my whole family and whole life. I just need either pockets or regular times that are just for me and about me to rebalance and reset.
I love that. And so it sounds like it's a 1-day retreat.
Yeah, so normally that's a 1-day retreat. Next year we might put on some 2-day retreats. But again, it was that like dipping our toe in to say most women don't even think they deserve 1 day away from their family and their responsibilities, right? It was hard enough. But now we've got women being like, oh my God, now I know I've done this, I could do 2 days maybe. Like, okay, good. So yeah.
So I found that to be true for me, even like going to an event. I'm like, God, this is long. And now I don't care how long it is. I'm going because I see the value of it.
Exactly. You only have to do it once. That's the thing. You have to it's like tasting the proof in the pudding, isn't it? And saying, you know what, I took a day out my business and I've had ideas that are beyond what I would have had if I'd have spent all the time working on the business. And it's the same with health stuff. You just take 1 day spending it on you and your health, and you'll realize that those 27 things you thought you needed to do, maybe you only need to do 3 of them because you feel so much better already.
Absolutely. So I'm curious, do you have people that have done the retreat and they want to come back for another?
Yes. Normally we've had on each retreat, we've had definitely people who've been on last retreats and then want to come again because it becomes addictive to feel lovely, right? And again, also building up the confidence. So the women, that is hilarious, they come and like we serve them the most beautiful, nourishing food. Like everything in the menu is nourishing them and healing them and helping them in some way and uplifting their senses, and it presented beautifully. And the uncomfortableness they feel from not even being able to clear their own plate and take it to the kitchen is unbelievable. They're like, no, I have to help. And it's like, not today. And then they're kind of like, I want to come back and be looked after again, actually. So it's like, again, it's like they see the value and they grow in confidence on being able to say, I am worth this. I am worth being looked after for a day and feeling special and feeling better and resting and having a nap.
That's big what you just said. The worth, the W word. Everybody's worth that.
But women forget it because women get championed and praised for putting everyone else first, right? So it's like and I always say the saddest things I ever see is when I see an obituary of a woman and they say she always put everyone else first, and then I see her age and I think, I wonder if she'd not put everyone else first her whole life, if that age wouldn't have been 50 or 60, you know? It's a
I'm willing to bet.
big thing for me, because, and the interesting thing is with the menopause transition is that when the hormones start shifting, estrogen is a people-pleasing hormone, and when it shifts, so it will shift during a woman's menstrual cycle and come down, and it will also shift in the perimenopause transition. That is a nod. People-pleasing and putting others first becomes harder. So it was always inbuilt that a woman would have a time in her cycle and a time in her life where her body didn't drive her to put everyone else first and gave her some time to look after herself and her needs. But when we tell women, no, what's going on in your body is wrong, that feeling of I need some rest, I need some alone time, be it at that time in your cycle or in the perimenopause, and we say, no, it's wrong, we reinforce that idea. There is meant to be no time in your month or your life as a woman where you don't feel like taking, you don't want to take care of other people. You'll always meant to be able to do that if you're a healthy, balanced woman. And it's the opposite. Your life, your body has been so beautifully created that you have times of the month where you naturally have hormones supporting you, serving and nurturing other people for the first half of your life. And then you have this beautiful time where those hormones shift and it's nature's nod to say, now it's time to look after you.
Yeah, I love that. And that's a really important thing because, God, I don't know the time frame, but many years ago, the average lifespan was what, 50, maybe 60? And so that time to really look after yourself was short. We've almost doubled our life expectancy. So now you have half of your life. You'd better prioritize that to look after yourself and enjoy that. And so that's why oftentimes you'll hear me say, and many other people in this demographic say, that this could be the best half of your life. You just need to make that choice.
Totally. It's like, it really is a crossroads. And so that's why women can often feel so conflicted, because they're like, I'm feeling like I maybe don't have the energy or the same amount of desire to be looking after everyone, but I'm being told I should. So is there something wrong with me? And so it's that path of going, the more people teaching you that calling of your body is right and is for your health. And it does not mean you then stop caring about your kids and other people. Every human being, and especially women, will always have that natural nurturing element to them. But it's about it not turning into the thing that creates disease, distress, depression, and takes you away again from the sparkle, from who you truly are. Like you said, the second half of your life, for me, you're meant to find your way back to yourself. Of all the kind of labels you put on yourself in the first half of your life, who your school told you to be, your parents told you to be, your religious group told you to be, your work told you to be, different relationships, you're meant to then take a breath at midlife and go, okay, which of these labels are covering up who I truly am, and how can I reclaim those parts of me that I've left along the way whilst I was looking after other people?
I couldn't agree more. It's just holding a mirror up to yourself and making yourself aware of all that, and then asking yourself the important questions and keeping the promises you make to yourself.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, Sally, this was an amazing conversation. I think that you're gonna have a number of people really resonate with a lot of what you said and a lot of what you do. So for those people, where can they find you? Where can they spend time with you?
So my website is womenwithsparkle.com. I've written my book, Get Your Sparkle Back, which you can get on Amazon. You can find me on Instagram at Women with Sparkle. So yes, there's a few places you can connect with me, and I'd love to hear from you. And yeah.
Awesome. Sally, thank you so much for today.
Thank you so much. It's been lovely chatting with you.